based on a true story. In 1971, the Perrin family moved into their dream home.
It's gonna be great.
But they didn't know it was the site of a brutal murder in 1863 and countless horrors in the century that followed. What happened to the Perrins in that house was so disturbing, the family has refused to speak of it.
We've been unfair this whole time about talking about white people who don't leave haunted houses, because we just now begin to realize that ghosts, they look for some of the poorest white trash people who can't leave when they come in.
Like, what you gonna do? You can't go nowhere.
Yo, broke ass. Boo, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, because the houses are always dilapidated. You know, just like the worst. You're like, really? This is all you could find?
They're gonna have enough trouble with it being a money pit. They don't need ghosts on top of that.
I mean, even so, let's say you even do have money. You're still like, no fucking way. We're thrifty at best and stubborn. We're like, no ghost's going to kick me out of here. This was an investment opportunity, goddammit. I'm going to see a return, or I'm going to have trouble getting a loan for the next picture.
It's like, hey, ghost, I don't know why you bother me. We're kind of in the same boat here, buddy. Yeah. We're both kind of screwed.
I mean, you got to give ghosts some credit. You know, they go and find the poorest white people, but they got enough taste to not go hunt like a trailer park or the ghetto or anything like that.
Well, nobody wants to be hanging out there.
We're talking about fictional situations, right? And this was based on a, quote, true story, unquote. Even though the people involved still today swear up and down that this shit happened. Like, it was even worse in this movie. Like, that kind of shit. But the difference is in this movie, at the end, you get the impression they're all like, okay, let's get the fuck out of here. That was it. I can't take no more of this shit. In real life, they stayed for another 9 years.
See, that tells me that this ain't based on nothing true at all.
And he just came in and said, look, man, we too broke to go anywhere. In fact, if y'all gonna stay and hunt this house, y'all need to get a job. Y'all need to help with this mortgage right here. Man, maybe I got 5 kids to feed. Like, they telling the ghost, in fact, you need to take one of these kids right here. Y'all, anybody want a possession for free right now?
Well, much like in the movie, like, although it doesn't go as much into the fact, it says there's lots of ghosts in this house when they get in. Like,
really?
There's ghosts all over the goddamn house.
Oh, yeah, man.
All
It's a big
kinds
house.
of ghosts. And at first they're like,
Plenty of rooms.
well, this is really freaky, sure, but they don't seem to be hurting anybody. The problem is there's one ghost who's just a real cocksucker.
Man, you know how it is. There always gotta be one that mess it up.
Yeah.
They gonna call an exorcist and evict us. Come on, man. I don't know. All I see is a trailer where that ghost is just going around the house clapping and playing games with people.
The trailer tries to show you as little as possible.
Yeah.
And it focuses just on one scene, really, to give you that idea. So if you were seeing that trailer, I got the impression it was going to be like kind of a one-note ghost horror thing. And really, that's a tiny piece of this bigger story. And like I said, in quotes, based on a true story about the Warrens, Ed and Lorraine, who were very famous paranormal investigators.
Ghost hunters.
As they called themselves.
They're the original Ghostbusters.
Demonologists.
Patrick Wilson is with Ed Warren.
Yeah.
And he's dressed like Hannibal Lecter, just to the nines. He's got on a vest, a
big
dark
old
suit,
sideburns.
big sideburn. He is stylish. He's like, look, I'm a hunt ghost, but I'm gonna make it look good.
Well, you got to, because people would laugh at you if you did.
Demonologists. Y'all ain't number some broke ass Ghostbusters.
So his wife is played by what? Vera Farmiga, and she's like a lot more demure. She's the psychic, so she's the one who comes in and goes, oh, shit's fucked up. We gotta go. But they're like, they go and they tour around the country. Like, when they're not giving talks, they get called in to like investigate places. And we see one of these cases in the beginning of the film that's actually pretty fucking creepy. Cause anytime you get like a nasty ass doll that's head spinning around and shit, I'm like, I'm white and I'm like, fuck that. I'm out of here. A doll
Really?
just moved. I'm leaving.
Now you look at this doll. There's nobody who would keep this doll.
Nobody would keep this.
It's the
Except me.
ugliest.
I put it right next to my Chucky doll.
Maybe if it was a replica from the Demonic Toys movies or something like that. But even when new, this thing would have been like just the most evil looking nasty thing ever produced. Anyways, they meet this family, with, Ron Livingston and Lily Taylor.
Poor Lily Taylor.
Who like
the haunting
who just bought this big ass house. They barely can afford it, out in the middle of nowhere. And right off the bat, it's like, wow, something is fucked. I mean, it doesn't take but a few days before shit's flying off the walls, all sorts of crazy stuff's happening. So they go to them, it's like, I don't know what to tell you. You need to come here and check this shit out because this is fucked up. So they come in and right off the bat, like the psychic's like, I don't know what to tell you. This is fucked up.
This is the most fucked we've ever seen.
Well, yeah, and it turns into like the premise is kind of like they've investigated many cases, but this is the one that they never felt comfortable sharing with anyone.
Yeah, but they ain't never
until now.
Yeah, but they ain't never seen no shit like this.
I never seen no shit like this.
Yeah, and so, you know what? I was looking at the trailer, man. The trailer is creepy. I mean, they have all the elements of what you want to see in a creepy film. You know, the dark basement, the ghost that likes to hide in places, doesn't show itself completely, snatching little kids up and throwing them in the corners, you know?
There's like it goes all into that one of those things where you got to get into the mythology of the place where it's like, oh, it turns out history, a lot of fucked up shit happened in this place. You start getting into that. You know, there's a witch that was hung there, child sacrifice, all kinds of shit.
Damn. Pretty much every haunted house trope you could possibly imagine. It is all in this one movie.
These guys are the worst house buyers in the world. Yeah. They did absolutely no research before they bought this place. Clearly, they're like, wow, look, every single person who's ever lived here has either killed themselves or murdered somebody else while they were here.
Yeah, they had the worst real estate agent ever.
The thing is that I think I personally really loved about this film, and I loved this. And I love a good ghost story. I even kind of like a bad one, but this one worked for me partially because most of the ones out there are just nothing but CG crap. It's nothing but cheap CG stunts. And this one does it all with old school camera trickery and with practical effects. There's a lot of neat moments in here that genuinely catch you by surprise. I mean, even the clapping thing you've seen in the trailer, when you're seeing it in the context of the whole rest of the film, it becomes pretty goddamn spooky.
Well, what wins you over is the subtlety of the whole movie. Just like we say that the special effects where, you know, it's a bunch of scary noises in a door opening. Mm-hmm. You don't need a CG door to open up a door, you know, for a movie like this. I mean, but yet it knows how to set this tone, which, you know, I really dig this director. This James Wong.
Yeah.
He directed actually the last haunted house movie that really affected me, and that was
the one with the Wayne brothers.
Insidious.
The one with Wayne brothers. Yeah, Insidious.
Yes, but don't compare this to Insidious. It's not.
Well, it's a very different style. It is a different style, yet it still plays on those real creepy atmosphere moments where the camera's just sitting in a room and you're wondering where that noise is coming from, and you see like an image for a second. You know, it kind of plays on those type of fears, just letting your mind kind of do the work for you. But man, this guy, I mean, with this movie, I think this is a more down to earth type of film where it doesn't get too much into the whole, you know, the other realm, the other world. You don't go visiting the other world and anything like this. It's very practical as much as they could to still kind of have you buy into the story that this really did take place.
Getting down them grassroots.
Yes, the nitty gritty.
You're right. For about half the film, it's more of the sort of like, oh, there's a door. Oh, wait, did I see something or did I not see something? Oh, something fell down. But about the halfway point, it's like, we're done with that shit. We're going to actually just crank up the intensity and start having these ghosts popping out of fucking everywhere. I mean, by the time it gets to the end, which is basically turns into like a crazy exorcist movie, it was pretty intense. I was on the edge of my seat going, fuck.
So, you know what I like? See, I like you two, man.
Yeah.
Y'all can walk out of a movie.
We're like, yeah.
And y'all can be honest about it. Y'all can say, man, that was creepy. I was scared. Man, I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. But every time there's a scary movie, my man Leon come out, old grumpy.
Old man Leon.
Ain't nothing scared me. Yeah, I've seen everything. Ain't nothing. Yeah. I'm a man. Don't nothing scare me.
He's been through this. He's that guy that Scooby-Doo gang always caught.
Oh, yeah. You know? Old man Leon.
Yeah, they pull that ghost mask off him. Oh, it's you. No wonder you're not scared of nothing.
But you know what?
There was a scene where Clock was bonging and I was thinking about the Funky Phantom.
And you know when his ass go home and he's by himself. You know he's in the dark looking like an old stereotypical coon with his eyes all big and shit.
He's in the theater going like, man, ghosts are stupid. Can't believe people supposed to be scared by this shit. Gets home, he's all like, hello, is anyone here?
This house sure going crazy.
I'm just going to sit in my car and write off.
I know, man. I'm sorry,
this
man.
Is where we are in 2013.
Damn,
I know, man.
Hey, why do you keeping it real?
Hey, man, you're not doing our people any favors acting like that at home, man. In the dark. You need to be brave, man. Quit acting so coonish when you get home. No, I'm just joking around, but you did.
Oh, are you?
I was worried.
Never would have guessed that.
Yeah. No. Hey, guys, just in case you believe me, I was kidding. You know, I didn't mean that.
Amos Chris and Andy, ghost hunters.
I always love it when you try to scare Leon with that white supremacy suit you got on. He always thinks it's a ghost.
No, the reason why I'm just messing with you, Leon. The reason why I am is because you two sound like you genuinely, God damn, I fucked that word. It sounds like you genuinely like this movie more than you did. Cause you said you were kind of bored with it.
Yeah, I kind of was. I mean, everything they said about, almost everything you guys said, I agree with. Matter of fact, you talk about the old school camera techniques. One of my favorite things about this movie is that it has the look like it was shot in the 70s. It has a lot of techniques that movies from the 70s and TV movies from the 70s has.
Even the credits.
Yeah,
the
all of it.
Credits look like something right out of The Burning or something like that.
If not for some of the actors being so muscular, which nobody was that way in the 70s, it could totally pass itself off.
Wait a minute, people didn't have muscles in the 70s?
No, they did, but they did not to that degree. Anybody who was built like that was like, considered a bodybuilder. But it captures that really well. And I appreciate the fact that you got real actors and so many great camera techniques going on. But, much like Paranormal Activity, it's still a bunch of people getting their feet tickled, running around, doors slamming, over it again, loud sounds to scare you. And I was like, an hour of that, I was just like, man, it was so set up to do something new, and it's still the same thing. And I'm like, it just doesn't impress me. I'm like, okay, yeah, Paranormal Activity. It's Lily Taylor again in The Haunting. Poor Lily Taylor. She just gets bounced around in these things. But it just felt like I'm just seeing stuff I've seen already, and I wish it could do something new. The last 20 minutes is where it kicks in a high gear, as Cyrus mentioned, and then it's exciting. Mm-hmm. But everything up to that point, I was just like, all right, ghosts are kind of, they're pricks, but what you gonna do?
I would love to remove all those things that you had to, what your complaints about the movie, all those little noises, all that funny doors opening the wrong way. Take all that out. And you probably have like the worst episode of the Brady Bunch ever. No. Family just hanging out in the house. And that is it.
A broke ass Brady Bunch.
A broke ass Brady Bunch.
Actually, you're right. I mean, when you're first introduced to the Livingstons or whatever Ron Livingston's family was, it did seem like you're gonna kind of get to know him, but then they just start getting into the ghost stuff, so didn't really know him that well. It's like, okay, he's got 5 little girls who are sort of in danger, except like, there's ghosts who you can sort of see, but not, they're not really doing anything. What's the big deal? It wasn't until later where you had that, like I said, that one asshole ghost that was fucking it up for everybody and taking everybody else on. The one thing I did think that was, that was fresh was like when it focused on the ghost hunters themselves. 'Cause I was like, okay, making them more of characters, almost like superheroes coming in here.
I agree with you completely about that. I think that's one of the strongest points of this film is that it starts with really saying, look at these guys, Ed and Lorraine Warren. They've done this for a while. It's got a great little prequel bit. The doll is really genuinely a creepy bit. We've seen a lot of haunted dolls. This is just enough to stay creepy and not get old. And as it goes along, they're kind of the superheroes of the business. They've seen it. It's not one of those things we've seen before where they're in there, but then it turns out once shit starts happening, they don't really know what to do.
It really is fun to watch. I mean, it's like that's why I love Poltergeist. One of my favorite parts of Poltergeist when they bring in the experts.
Yeah.
And you realize, wow, the experts aren't all that expert because they're discovering shit that's so crazy that it's making them run out of the house. When it's like, hey, where you going? You're supposed to be here doing something. Don't run away.
They won't be coming back. I'm coming back.
And that's you realize you need to redefine your definition of expert because it's like, okay, technically you know more than I do because you read a couple of books.
But that's why this was so different because these guys, turns out like shit happens. They're like, all right, we're ready for this. Go get the ghost shotguns. We're going to go. Yeah. They're ready for anything. Even when it gets super intense and they're like, we ain't never seen no shit like this before. They're like, okay, I got an idea. Let's do this.
And in concept, yes, you're right.
I got to ask you something, and this is a serious question. In the movie, what ruins these movies for me? The house is haunted, and it has a bad infestation of some of the scariest ghosts you've ever seen.
Right.
And the kids just playing with them. Kids ain't scared.
Yeah, some of them are like, oh yeah, he likes to hide in there. He who? Oh, the ghost. Why are you playing with ghosts?
That's what gets me, man, because I know.
For real? Okay, well, don't talk to strangers or ghosts. Didn't think I had to say that last part.
If I was a kid and the ghost came in my room, I would scream so loud the ghost would even be like, shh, shh, shh. Fuck this, I'm going.
No, in this case, it's just, as it usually is, to be fair, just the really young daughter. And everyone's like, oh, she's got an imaginary friend. That's nice. Imaginary friend. Then a little later, she's like, you better get that imaginary friend the fuck out of here. I don't know what the hell
you're free to go home.
Just saying. No. Wait. We need this.
Why do we need pictures of Cindy?
She didn't trigger it. What do you mean she didn't trigger it? Somebody's with her. Who?
If I had a daughter or a son and they were 6 years old, and I don't care if they were in a room talking to themselves, I tell them, you better shut that shit up right now.
Take this medication.
That's half of our Spill audience. What are you talking about?
In my imaginary friend, you tell that motherfucker to go home. I ain't coming in there. So what would you rate the movie then?
I don't know. There's so much to appreciate about it. And I give it a lot of points for that. Mm-hmm. And being entertaining, not being, something that they just shout out. So I don't know. I give it a low matinee.
Okay. Fair enough. Now, for me, and I admit, the bias for me is that the other way from you, you don't normally like ghost movies that much. It's not one of your favorite
there's only
genres.
like 4 or 5 of them that I
Where
like.
it's probably my favorite horror genre is the ghost movie. I even like a lot of the ones that everyone else agrees are crap. And I'm like, oh, come on, there's still some fun shit in there. I love that one part where the thing moved on the shelf. That was scary. But this is really one of the best ones I've seen in as long as I can remember. It's certainly better than any of the Paranormal Activities by a sizable margin. And what makes the real difference in what you're talking about with the first half of the film, where, you're seeing a lot of the same tricks you've seen before, is A, it's just plain filmed better. They know how to set you up for these things, so they're scarier when they happen. And B, there's just a lot more interesting character stuff going on. You actually like these people. They're not irritating like the ones in all the found footage movies. And you're sort of building a real, genuine film story with them. There's a lot to follow that's going on other than just those things that are happening. And it is slowly building a story. I do agree with you, though, about the very, very end. The solution feels kind of like, well, we used everything we got, so let's just finish this and go home. I was like, really? That was what ended it? You're waiting for some sort of like little epilogue or codicil or something. But that being said, this is a lot of fun. It had me to the end. A lot of it I was literally on the edge of my seat for. I give this a full price.
All right.
Yeah. This is kind of hard because I was like, as far as a film, it's pretty solid as far as just the characters and the way they set up the shots for the creepy moments because those genuinely do work. But I don't know. I guess I did see a lot of your typical, honestly, when I say they threw in every typical trope of a haunted house film, they really did. They threw everything in there. So much so that, a lot of it didn't seem so much, surprising to me at all or too interesting, yet it was the characters that really sold it though, and the director. But saying that, I don't know. I still enjoyed it, yet the ending did feel kind of short. You just kind of felt like it kind of abruptly ended. And I was like, this was building up to what seemed to be something bigger, something more rewarding. But saying that, I'll still give it a full price.
It's kind of standard. It's the stuff that people have been going to see these movies for. We're in there. There's people talking at their regular volume through the whole thing, narrating the movie. They get scared for a second, they're laughing. So that's kind of like, I guess it's really not that scary.
Did you hear the black couple?
Who couldn't hear the black couple?
There's a black couple in there.
Like the older black couple who was talking at normal volume the entire time.
But just the tone of the voice, there's, you know she shouldn't be hanging around that doll, and his girlfriend's like, yeah, I tell you.
And normally I might say to him like, hey man, you don't have to exaggerate it like that. But that was actually subtle. Yeah,
that's exactly right. I was like, oh no, until the whole audience was like, shut the fuck up.
Well, really, did they?
Yeah. You just heard a big shh. I thought a ghost had entered the room and swept them up to kick them out of the theater. It's like,
you go like, in this day and age, who still does that? It's such a cliche. And then I was like, wait a minute. Maybe they were dead black people. They don't know they're dead.
They can't hear you.
They don't know that's really rude.
Leon managed to sit managed to save me a seat right next to the girl who was in The Last Exorcism. This girl that was just kind of,
oh man,
I can't wait to see this movie. It's going to be scary. And there's a moment where something really creepy happened in the movie that freaked everybody out. And from my peripheral vision, I see this face staring right at me with the biggest smile, just staring and would not stop. And I was like, get me out of here.
You know, it'd be funny if that girl was sitting in front of you and you tapped on her shoulder and said, could you be quiet? And the girl's head just spun all the way around. You be quiet.
It was the creepiest thing.
To be fair, co-host, I sat next to it for 45 minutes before you got there. I needed a buffer.
No wonder. You had two seats, and you had like two seats on the right and left of you, and I wanted to sit to the one to the left, and you were like, hey, no, I saved this one for you right here. And now I know why. You asshole.
Well, that's
you don't know how many people had to fight off for this seat.
That's why Leon and I get to the movie theater early.
I know. Leon let me sit in the haunted seat.
I had gone to bed. I opened my eyes. The apparition started to come down to me.
Look what she made me do. Nancy?
From the director of Saw and Insidious.
We waited 30 years to tell our story. Because 30 years ago, the world was not prepared for this.
On July 19th, experience the terrifying truth.